Good morning, everybody. My name's Cody Brown. I am a Army retired staff sergeant, Iraq combat veteran. We're going to get started here in just a moment. So if I could invite Dr. Murphy and folks to have a seat, we're going to get going here in just one moment. So today I'm going to be talking about the Veterans History Project. The Veterans History Project is through the Library of Congress, and it's an oral history project for veterans to share their experience. It's not so much a veteran to talk about their wartime stories or their moments or their finest hour, so to speak. It's to share who they are as a veteran and what they did in their military service. So we're not looking for veterans of combat, although those stories are heroic, and we do love to hear moments that veterans, they achieved success on the battlefield. But we also want to hear about those supply clerks, the cooks, the administrative folks who serve their country at any point within their military career. So here in just a moment, I'm going to present a brief video to talk about and to share the Veterans History Project.
So you're interested in interviewing veterans in your community for the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. That's great. VHP is a grassroots effort and reliant on the voluntary participation of people around the country interviewing the veterans in their lives and communities. Over the next few minutes, we're going to show you everything you need to do your VHP interview, which will be preserved for future generations in the Library of Congress. Interviewing veterans for VHP is a meaningful volunteer activity, and everything you need to know is right here in the field kit, available at loc.gov/vets. In the field kit and in this video, you'll learn the 5 steps that will ensure your VHP interview is accepted and provides a useful primary source for researchers. Those steps are prepare, participate, send, access, and inquire. As some veterans may tell you, failing to plan is planning to fail. So let's get right into the first and most important step, prepping your interview. Whether you're a veteran or a volunteer interviewer, preparation is vital. You significantly increase the research value of a collection when you take the time to familiarize yourself with the VHP process. Conduct a pre-interview with the veteran by phone or in person to review forms and gather details about their military service, so that you may create personalized questions to ask during the recorded interview session in addition to the sample questions we provide. Consult secondary sources and think of additional interview questions that are specific to the veteran's personal experience, war or conflict, branch, and background. Familiarize yourself with the recording equipment and review VHP's media and format standards. Technology changes frequently, and if you have any questions about file types, please visit our website or contact the Veterans History Project. Ensure that the interviewee is comfortable. Inform them that the recording will be publicly accessible either online or at the Library of Congress. Test your equipment before the interview begins. Check your battery levels and make sure that both microphones are working. Even the best interview will be ruined if you can't hear the narrator. Once you've finished your prep work, it's time to create your veterans collection. Most of our collections are video or audio interviews, just like this one, but that's not the only way for a veteran to share their story. A VHP collection can consist of an audio or video interview, a collection of original photographs, original correspondence, as well as diaries or journals written by the veteran during their service. In short, you're looking to build a personal narrative of the veteran's service and how it affected their life. In addition to veterans of the armed forces, we accept interviews of immediate family members, a parent, spouse, sibling, or child of members of the armed forces who died as a result of their service during a period of war. All collections must follow the 30-20-10 rule, which means that a collection must include at least one of the following: a 30-minute or longer interview, 20 pages of written manuscript, or 10 original photographs or letters. Once you have met one requirement, any number of complementary materials can be included. So for example, if the vet gives a 30-minute interview and also wants to donate 5 photos, that's acceptable. Or if they donate 10 photos and can only do a 10-minute interview, that's fine as well. When you're conducting an interview, there are a few things to keep in mind. Test your equipment to make sure everything is working as it should. The veteran's comfort always comes first. Choose a comfortable location for the interview, ideally at the veteran's own home or at a common location like a public library or community center. Pay attention to the veteran's emotional state as well, especially if the veteran suffers from PTSD or if you're discussing difficult topics like combat and loss. It's perfectly fine to pause or even end the interview if the veteran is no longer comfortable telling their story. Ask open-ended questions that draw on emotions, senses, and relationships. What was the hardest part of the military lifestyle for you to adapt to? Or, how did you feel about the food in the field? Those are two examples of open-ended questions. loc.gov/vets has sets of sample questions to get you started. Practice active listening and ask follow-up questions that expand upon the story your veteran is telling. Consider having the veteran review old photographs during the interview to prompt memories. Keep an eye on the time. If the interview isn't at least 30 minutes long, it won't be accepted. Take notes for the required AV log form. It doesn't have to be a transcript, just a running description of the main topics discussed in the interview. Once the interview is complete, make a copy for the veteran if possible. Then it's time to submit your media and your forms to the Veterans History Project. Make at least 2 copies of the interview prior to submitting a collection. Keep 1 copy for yourself and give 1 to the veteran. Include any complementary materials such as original photographs and manuscripts and complete the appropriate forms. To avoid damages caused by the Library of Congress's special security screening process, do not use the U.S. Postal Service. Package your forms and materials, enclose a cover letter, and use a private carrier for delivery. Participants can also hand-deliver VHP collections at the Veterans History Project Information Center, located in room LJG 51 on the ground floor of the Thomas Jefferson Building. The Information Center is open from 9:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. VHP staff will review your materials to ensure they meet minimum requirements. Materials that do not meet VHP's minimum requirements or do not represent a primary source narrative will be returned to the contributor within 8 to 10 weeks. A summary record of the collection will be published to the VHP website within 4 to 6 months. We cannot guarantee that your collection will be digitized. However, every collection is accessible through the American Folklife Center Reading Room. There's no point in keeping an archive if nobody can access the materials. VHP strives to make all of its collections accessible, and the easiest way to do that is to visit our website, loc.gov/vets, where you can search our digitized collections and our Experiencing War features, and watch or listen to the full interviews of over 40,000 vets, as well as browse photo collections and read diaries, journals, and memoirs. If the collection you want to see has not yet been digitized, just email us at vohp@loc.gov, and we can schedule an appointment to view any collection at the Library of Congress here in Washington, D.C. The Veterans History Project is easy to reach. For more information about how to participate in VHP, find veteran stories, or access interviewers' tools, contact us or visit our website. Connect with VHP on social media. Learn about collections through posts and blog publications and programming updates. We hope to hear from you soon.
It would be impossible for me to tell America's stories without the photographs, footage, and first-hand remembrances that have been archived by individuals like you through the years. So please volunteer to interview a U.S. veteran for the Library of Congress Veterans History Project and preserve his or her stories for future generations. Download a how-to field kit and a list of interview questions at loc.gov/vets. Help make history.
Good morning, everyone. After watching that film, there's nothing for me to say. It's very well covered. Like Cody was saying, this project is very important to a lot of people. I'm glad that we have an audience such as Dr. Murphy and Mayor, City Council members. Like I was mentioning earlier when I was having the side conversations, the Veteran History Project is very important to a lot of people because every time we go to an organization or a gathering of veterans, what do we talk about? We talk about our experiences, what we did in the military. I'm a Marine retired, Master Sergeant, retired about 20-something years ago. But it's good to remember and talk about those stories that we relish. at our age, in time, our age now. The Veterans History Project, as so indicated on the film, it's a project to capture all these stories from these folks that have so much to tell. But again, with the limit of 30 minutes, there are some recommendations we need to do with that, because if you ask a Marine or any service member, what did you do in the service, he'll talk your ears off for about a couple of hours. So for this purpose here, we want to prepare ourselves, as I did when I got interviewed, and back in 2008 when I got interviewed, it was all just videotape. So it was all, stop, go, you try to get the right things. But what really helped me during this process was the old adage of, be prepared for any interview. Take the time to write down your history, all your events, all your duty stations that you've been to. Write them down, because you're going to forget. Because as soon as the camera starts getting on you, your mind just starts wandering. So if you have reference to go to from day one to day, and then between those duty stations, you may have certain experiences you want to share, you write those down. So while you're getting interviewed, you just look down and looking at your cheat card or your cards, and you'll be able to stay on track. It's hard to recall all those stories that we have. So writing them down is the best way to do it and accomplish this mission here. So when researchers, future researchers that go into the Library of Congress and start looking up for stories that need to be told of your era, they want to know about what happened to you, what happened to your circumstance. It gives them a better ammunition to do their research. Because anybody can read books. The books will tell you the big, broad view of what happened in that battle. But with you folks, with the veterans actually telling the story of what happened in that platoon, in that fire team, that's what some people want to hear. Because nobody knows that's better than us, because we were there. So the command elements have got their stories, but so does the Marines, sailors, and soldiers who lived it and were in the trenches. And was I prepared enough? Did I do the right thing? What did I miss? So when you get faced in the battle of combat or what have you, and you'll be better apt to answer those questions. Because we all know that once we go into a hostile environment or combat, you have the families that are back there taking care of you. So you don't need to worry about that. That's where the wives, husbands, and all your next of kin come into play, because they have to take care of the home front. So you can focus on what you're doing out there without having to worry about them. So that's very important. So again, with everything that was said in the video, it's absolutely true. Be prepared. The only recommendations I've got is that make yourself a little cheat card and follow it as you're being interviewed. So when whoever's interviewing you asks you a question, you'll be able to reflect on that and bring out the key points that you want to bring out. Again, my name is Fernando Schoffelbein, and that's all I've got to say, really. I'd like to now introduce our Congressman, Dr. Murphy, who is here with us this morning, and he'll have a couple of closing comments. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Mayor, and our City Council. We appreciate everybody being in attendance today. Today is kind of the beginning. It's the start date of what we're trying to do for Eastern North Carolina. In the 3rd District, we have, it's actually 1 in 7 of the constituents are veterans. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's one of the highest in the country. And then think about their families, other active duty military. The military is so important here for us in Eastern North Carolina. And, when Fernando was talking, I just started thinking a little bit, what if we had this project during the Revolutionary War or the Civil War? What we have are some letters that were sent back home and some other parts, but what if those veterans had been able to tell their story? And now, through the medium of not only pictures, which we had, and some letters, we're going to have video evidence. This was started with several of our folks in World War II. We have very few interviews from individuals in World War I. But now that we've had so many other conflicts with Vietnam, Korea, and now the Iraq wars, it's a chance for veterans to tell their story. And as Cody pointed out, it wasn't just those who were in combat. Individuals who were cooks, some who packed parachutes, some who prepared planes for flying. How critical it is that those individuals are able to tell their story. I went and I did an interview. I actually helped conduct an interview in the Library of Congress a few weeks ago. We were going to show that today but the government stopped down for a couple weeks, I think around the holiday. But we'll be showing that interview at some point and just trying to get individuals to tell their story. I went back, it actually prompted me to go back and look at some of my family's history. My brother was a pilot in the Navy. My father was a surgeon in the Navy. I have an uncle who was another pilot. I have another uncle who was a Commodore. And in doing some of this research, actually found a second cousin who passed away. He was shot down in the Sea of Japan 2 weeks before the bomb on Hiroshima. And the last message, the last thing they had was that he was floating toward enemy shore, and they don't know anything more that happened to him. A fellow named John Weeks. And so telling these stories, not only about their personal experiences, about who that they served with, I think is just going to be critical. It's a nice catharsis to get down as one's personal experience for others to hear. Not only to get their story out, but for other individuals to research in the future. So we're going to be starting this today in Jacksonville, which I think is really critical for Jacksonville, carrying on to other counties in Craven County, Carteret County, up in the northeast corner of the district. And so we want all the veterans, as many as possible, to come out over the next several weeks and several months to come and tell their stories. So I want to say great thank you for Jacksonville for hosting this beginning today. And we look forward to many, many of our veterans coming out and speaking and telling their stories. So I'll hand it off. I want to say special thanks to Cody for doing this, as well as, where'd he go? So, oh, there he is, right over here on the corner. Sorry, Cody. But thanks to Trevor also for serving with Cody as far as. So I'll leave it up to you guys.
So my closing remarks, I want to thank Dr. Murphy and Mr. Mayor, City Council folks and Fernando for being here today. I have a sign-up sheet over there for folks who want to record their story, and you can take a few copies of the sign-up sheet, pass them along to veterans that you have or that you know, and send it back to us so we can schedule them to do their interview. So please take the sign-up sheet, and that is all I have for today. So thank you folks for being here, and I look forward to recording as many stories as possible. Thanks, guys.